work on a challenge called validate subsequence. And so what we're going to do is we're going to basically have two arrays, and we're going to check if the sequence within our second array does in fact appear in our main array in our sequential order. So for those visual learners, let me go ahead and first declare our sequence that we are looking for. So this is we're declaring an array here, and we're just a constant array labeled sequence, and this is the sequence numbers that we're looking for. And so as long as we find these numbers, that means that this would be true. So that would be our sequence, and so this would be our main array. And so this is the array that's going to contain multiple values, right? So let's go ahead and add the 420, the 404, and 29, 9. And so if we notice, these are in they're not adjacent, but they are in sequential order, meaning that they are in the same order, which is what we're looking for. So we're going to declare a function. Actually, I'm going to use a fat arrow ESX syntax. So we're using the constant is valid sequence. That's the name of our function. So that's the label. I'm going to set this equal to. We're just going to take in two parameters. In this case, the first parameter would be our array. That would be the argument of array, and our second parameter is going to take in the sequence, right? And so what we want to do is first off, so to understand this, we are taking in an array, which is this one, our main array, and we want to verify if this sequence is the same, it appears within our array. Okay, so we got that. So first off, we want to declare a sequence IDX, so sequence index, and we're going to set that to 0 because we want to iterate through this array completely. So if we don't iterate through this complete array, that means it would be false, and we would basically return the value of false because we didn't find it. So let's just in order for us to do that, we first have to iterate through our main array and also our sequence array in order to validate that it is true or false. And so we're going to use a for loop here, and we're declaring the cons. We'll just call it value of array. So this is the array that we're looping through, which is the array that we're passing in here, and we can call this whatever we want. We could call it main array, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so basically, so we're iterating right through array, we're checking each value. And so first thing we're going to check is if our sequence IDX, right, if our sequence index is equal to the sequence length, meaning that we have already iterated through this whole array. It could be empty. If it's empty, then the first thing we want to do is just break out of it. There's no point of looping through an empty array, right? And that would mean it would be false, that there is no sequential order. And so if that's not true, then we want to iterate through our sequence and array, and each time we find the sequence, we want to iterate through. So the first index would be 0, and each time we iterate, we want to check that it is in fact equal to this value. So to break this down, so we're iterating through our sequence array. At first index, it's going to be 4. So when we iterate through our array here, we're checking each value, right? So our value would be 3. So is 4 equal to this value? It is not. So then what this is going to do is loop through the next one. And so is 4 equal to 4 in this order? It is. And so what do we want? Do we want to happen? Basically, we want the sequence index, right? We want that to increment its value. So it's true, we did find this one, it's here. So then we want to increment the value back to this value right here. So then it's going to iterate through the next loop. Is 0 there? No. Is 420 there? Yes. Ding ding. Well, what it is going to do is increment its value again, and now it's going to move to the next sequential order, which is 404, and all the way down to the last item of our main array and our subsequence array as well. So we did find them in sequential order. So now we just want to return the value, whether if it's true or false. We did find the sequence at this in this array, and so we want to iterate all the way down to the length of the array, and this is going to return whether we found it or not. And so let's go ahead and test this out. First thing we're going to do is, so we just define a function here. We define our arrays, but we didn't invoke it, so it's not going to do anything until we invoke it. So in this case, let's go ahead and invoke this is valid sequence, right? We should actually call this subsequence. I think it would make more sense. So is valid subsequence, and we're passing in our array and also our sequence. By the way, these names don't really have to be the same. Doesn't matter. We can call this whatever we want. These are completely different. So just wanted to point that out. And so we can assign this to a variable called result, and then let's go ahead and console log the actual result so we can see whether or not it's found. In this case, it's true. We found this in subsequence. We found this sequential order. I had trouble there saying that word, but there you go, guys. So that's it. That's the end of this video. Actually, I do want to include, I'm not really going to edit this video, but I do want to include the time complexity, and in this case the time complexity would be O of n, meaning the length of the array, and for space complexity I would say is 0 to 1, because we have to loop through each item in order for us to get the output that we are looking for. Well, that's it, guys. Hope you find this video helpful. If you do, please subscribe, comment below any challenges you would like me to work on as well. Comment below. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Have a great day.